Smart contracts, they seem to be everywhere and apparently very necessary for anything associated with blockchain. But have we really asked the question, where did they originate from? And are they necessary or even possibly problematic? The Bitcoin network is phenomenal. It introduced the concept of decentralized transfer of digital assets on a peer-to-peer basis. However, the problem is that Bitcoin could only move the coin from one owner to another and then move it to another after that. So Vitalik Buterin, when he created Ethereum, was really saying we need to be able to do more with these digital assets than the bilateral transfers. And so created the concept of a smart contract, which is really a life cycle algorithm to say with certain conditions, we can do a multitude of conditional transfers and more complicated transactions. Now, it was called a smart contract, which anecdotally I heard he'd wished he'd called it a persistent script. But it existed because in the crypto and DeFi worlds, there was no lifecycle engines. So the advent of smart contracts was to create the possibility of more combined or linked or conditional transactions. Now, when you're looking at legacy assets, whether it's financial markets, supply chain, records management, identity, voting, etc., the idea is that if we're using blockchain technology, we need smart contracts. But do we? Because in those legacy processes, the applications already have the lifecycle engines. They just want to record the transactions to a distributed ledger rather than a centralized ledger. So therefore, you can see if the lifecycle engine or lifecycle process already exists, the smart contract is effectively redundantly recreating it. First of all, it has to be customized to the use case. And secondly, you have to make sure it matches it. Otherwise, you're going to get discrepancies. And this is an algorithm that has to match a lifecycle. So it's very hard to reconcile it back. If you think about it, you're going to have an application with a lifecycle engine, a smart contract, and then a distributed ledger. All need to be synchronized, and that involves reconciliations. And this is a problem for smart contracts. The other problem with smart contracts, and comes back to an influence of the Bitcoin ledger, is that really it's a record of timestamp transfers of ownership. So there isn't the concept of a transacting period, and it only records historical transactions from today backwards. So there's no way of recording future dated obligations. And while most transactions do involve bilateral transfers, many of them require to record obligations, future dated payable receivables, and a smart contract can't do that. And worse, if it has all those future dated transactions inside its algorithm, you have to wait until a certain day for the event to occur. But you can't reconcile those future dated transactions to an algorithm. You'd have to generate a report that then would have to be reconciled. But that report is now separate from the hash linked record of blockchain, so therefore is not corrupt evident. So there's other problems with this. And these are the things that you need to think about with smart contracts. At L4S with Tapestry X, we realized that the smart contract is redundant unless it's required because there's no lifecycle engine. So we rely on the applications to generate the lifecycle and feed individual transfers down to a distributed ledger. Now, Tapestry X also works in real time and doesn't need consensus mining or independent selected or elected leaders to validate it. So it works in real time. But the real point is Tapestry X has double entry accounting and the idea of transacting periods. So we can actually record the future dated payable receivables, the obligations, as well as the transfers in a line by line, transfer by transfer record, as it does with ledgers today. So it's very easy to reconcile or feed to any downstream general ledger. I hope this was useful for you, and thank you for watching.